So we can talk about his hold-up play, but if they don't put the ball in the box for him, then he's definitely not going to get on the end of it.
The one guy that puts it in normally quite early on a cutback, Kevin De Bruyne, you often see him peeling from the middle of the park or the right side out to the wide position, and then he takes a cutback from one of the players and he whips it in first time. He's kind of one of the few that do that. If you look at Jack Grealish is a player that likes to take a few touches, maybe too many at times. Look, he's not at the top of his game, Erling Haaland, but I don't think it's all down to him. I think it's a lot down to the way City are playing.
Jurgen?
Yeah, I feel for Erling Haaland because obviously it's not easy in these games to get him into good positions. It's not easy to get him the ball into, in a situation where he can, maybe with 1-against-1, can turn around and score a goal. His link-up play is difficult because if he's left alone, especially if you're left alone against Rüdiger, which was the case quite often today, he fights a little bit his own big battle, and he needs support then. And obviously when you have then in a team like Man City, usually in the Premier League, they have 80% possession, 85% possession, and they bunker in, they park the bus in front of the goal. There's no real space for Erling. It's difficult for him. Where do I run? Where do I open myself? How do I find the connection? With De Bruyne, there is a natural connection. So when De Bruyne is on the field, he always has an eye on Haaland, for his runs. But when De Bruyne is not there, he struggles a little bit more. And so I feel for him. It's tough for him because especially in games like today, Real Madrid, this is the type of game where you want to shine. You want to show the people that you are capable to kill a game off against such a big name. And unfortunately, he didn't have the opportunities to do so.
Jurgen, just a word on the opening goal. As a coach, would you salute the brilliance of Bernardo Silva or question your goalkeeper?
You got to swallow that one as a goalkeeper. Yeah, you got to admit that this was yours.
So, 3-3 going into the second leg. Manchester City favourites, obviously.
Yeah. Just go back to one thing I think you touched on, either just when we came on or just before we came on, was the body language. And I know none of us are body language experts, but we've watched a lot of La Liga this season, and obviously previous season having the rights, and the phenomenon that is Jude Bellingham, and he has been. It's been certainly the first half of the season was almost beyond belief what this guy was doing. But more than maybe a lack of form or a little bit of tiredness or just taking a bit of a break, it's the attitude. I think it's getting a little concerning for me, and maybe that's where he's got a really experienced manager will come in and Ancelotti and have a little word with him.
There's a lot of complaining, isn't there?
There's a lot. It almost seems to me, and it's not just here. There's been a lot of La Liga games, and maybe some of it has been just, but not always, where he's felt that the referee has owed him one. And we've talked about Vinicius Junior trying to referee games and getting the hump and his headspace just goes.
Yeah.
Right when he feels it's going against him, and I'm seeing a little bit of that in Jude Bellingham. And I think it's taken away from what he does best. And he just seems to have spent a lot of time in the last, I'm going to say, 6 or 7 weeks, complaining rather than just getting on with it. And again, we saw that in the game tonight. And we didn't then see the best Jude Bellingham.
Is that him getting too big for his boots? Because he did the same with England. We talk about how he's a nice guy, seems to have his feet on the ground, always seems to say the right thing. But is he starting to believe everything that's been said about him? Now that he's got an attitude change that I deserve to be getting fouls, I deserve...
Right.
It's kind of... That could be turning into me, which obviously is going to affect him.
I mean, it's hard not to... I would imagine, I don't know, being at a club that size, doing what he did as a youngster. Don't forget he went to Germany at 16 years old to play for Dortmund for 3 years. I mean, it's quite incredible. But then to go in and basically carry this team on your shoulders for basically the first half of the season. And every week we're talking about it, and every week we saw that sort of...
Yes.
Where he's just taking the adulation of the crowd because he's the main man, and rightly so. And I think that is difficult for any player not to let that just start to get to you a little bit. And I think he's got a very good manager, and if he needs his feet to get back on the ground, but I do think we've all seen that little side of him in recent weeks.
Do you agree, Robbo?
Absolutely. He's become an angry young man. When he first went there, and that was a great picture that Craig just painted there of the adulation he was taking. He had a smile on his face. He was enjoying his game. For the last 6-7 weeks, he hasn't enjoyed his game. He's fighting with the referees, fighting with the opponents. He's shrugging his shoulders at every opportunity. And we're not seeing the same Jude Bellingham. But I also think he's just lacking that touch, a yard of pace that he had at the beginning of the season when he was fresh. He's just starting to tire, and that's maybe why he's angry with himself at times, or frustrated with himself as well.
Jurgen, how would you manage this?
Well, talking to him, take him out for coffee, have a chat with him. And then I'm sure Carlo Ancelotti is doing that because Carlo Ancelotti is a master in man management. So I think that's what they should do. That's probably what they do. And I think it's just also normal. It's normal that Jude Bellingham, cannot always play on the top all year long. It's normal that he drops a little bit and has a couple of weeks off in a certain way. And then finds his balance again. This is part of development. This is part of maturing as a player on and off the field. So we don't know what's going on off the field. We don't know, the people that surround him. We don't know his training performances. We don't see him every day. But this is, I think, it's just normal. And now, it's, as I said before, it's crunch time. March, April, May. This is crunch time in the domestic championships and as well, especially in the Champions League. And then we go towards the Euros. And so he's full of ambition. He's full of expectations. And if it sometimes goes through his head, I think it's just normal as well. Because he's a very, very young human being and has to go through a lot. And I think these up and downs are just normal. And Carlo Ancelotti knows that, sees that. And I'm sure that he's talking to him.